Hello and welcome to the Irish Aesthete. Today I want to talk to you about a particular style of building found here in Ireland. Indeed, there are examples of it all over the country, some of them in decent condition, but very often, as we'll discover, many others in poor repair. In this country, they're commonly called castles. This one, for example, is Gowran Castle in County Kilkenny. More correctly, they're known as tower houses, and rather like the contemporary craze for dormer bungalows, they frequently share the same characteristics. Tower houses were built all over Ireland from the 15th to the early 17th century, and one man in particular is often held responsible for initiating the fashion. This is Henry VI of England, and he rather hoped of Ireland too. In 1429, he issued a statute offering a grant of £10 over the next 10 years to landowners building a property sufficiently embattled or fortified and measuring 20 feet in length, 16 feet in width and at least 40 feet in height. This grant was available to landowners living within the Pale. The Pale was the area immediately surrounding the city of Dublin and therefore under the control of the English government. Now, ostensibly, of course, England controlled all of Ireland, but this was far from being the case in the late Middle Ages. In fact, the reality was that various local families governed their own areas. So granting funds for building tower houses around the perimeter of the Pale was a means of safeguarding the people who lived inside it, hence the expression beyond the Pale, which we still use today. It's worth pointing out that the tower house style isn't exclusive to Ireland. Variations of it can also be found in northern England and southern Scotland, where constant frontier disputes left local residents vulnerable to attack. Here's Smailholm Tower on what is now the Scottish side of the border. But tower houses became wildly popular in Ireland, and vast numbers of them were constructed throughout the country, like this one in Connacht, County Cork. Estimates of just how many were built vary, but the final tally does seem to have run into thousands, because everyone recognised that these buildings offered reasonable protection from attack, at least, that is, until the arrival of cannons. A lot of tower houses look alike. This is Kilblind Castle, County Kilkenny. Typically, it's almost square-shaped, the corners ending at 90-degree angles, and the whole structure slightly splaying outwards at the base. But sometimes tower houses can have curved sides, as at Lowhort Castle in County Cork. And there are even a few examples of round tower houses, such as this one at Moorestown, County Tipperary. Whatever their outward form, the average tower house rises 4 or 5 stories to a gabled roof, which would have been covered in thatch or sometimes slate. The top has crenellated battlements and also machicolations. They're the defences that jut out on corbels and allow the defenders inside to drop hot oil or water or other material onto anyone trying to gain entry within the building. Sometimes, as at Clononny Castle, County Offaly, the tower house would benefit from the additional security of a bourne wall. That's also the case at Palace Castle, County Galway, which occupies just one section of a much larger space. The great open court here would have provided safety for the owner's supporters and livestock. But whether there was a bourne wall or not, tower houses tended to have had only one point of entry, making it easier to secure access against invaders. Here at Kinnerla Castle, County Tipperary, you can see how a machicolation was placed directly above the entrance. So anyone trying to break into the building was liable to get something dropped onto his head. Kinnerla Castle was extended by a later owner, so that the building is now twice its original size. This is by far from being an unusual circumstance, as we'll see in due course. Once inside a tower house, one discovers the ground floor is a single space, often double height and with a vaulted ceiling, as at Trimbleston Castle, County Meath. Livestock would be kept in here at night to ensure they weren't stolen or killed. A single stone spiral staircase led to the upper floors. These are divided into a number of different chambers of varying sizes, with the owner of the building living usually at the very top. Now, as already mentioned, tower houses were constructed over a period of some 200 years, but even after people stopped building them, they continued to live in tower houses. And in the next episode, I want to look at a few examples of how these buildings were adapted and modernised. Thank you so much for watching the Irish Aesthete. I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.